A billion-dollar company was acquired by a giant corporation with unlimited resources and world-class marketing power. You might think this was the best thing that could happen to them. However, it turned out to be the very thing that led to their downfall. This is the story of how a razor company that outperformed Gillette ultimately got quietly dismantled by the very corporation that paid $1 billion to save it. Stick with me, because this isn't just a story about razors becoming dull. It's about what occurs when a scrappy, funny, and beloved brand is handed over to people who only know how to run it in one way. Let's dive in. To understand why Dollar Shave Club skyrocketed to success, you need to grasp a tactic that companies like Gillette have used for decades. It's similar to the strategy printer companies employ. Sell the printer cheaply, then charge an exorbitant amount for the ink cartridges that only fit that specific printer. Razor companies figured out this same strategy years earlier. They sold the handle at a low price, almost as a loss leader, and designed it so that only their blades would fit. These replacement blades cost mere cents to produce but sold for several dollars each. This single tactic was so profitable that one of the biggest names in consumer goods paid over $50 billion just to acquire the company responsible for it. Two entrepreneurs observed this setup and recognized a simple solution. By cutting out retail stores, excessive packaging, and massive marketing budgets, they could deliver decent blades directly to customers' doors for just a few dollars a month. This approach allowed them to dramatically undercut the industry while still making a profit. This idea became Dollar Shave Club. They didn't have a large budget to launch this concept. Instead, they created one funny video, shot in a single day for less than $5,000, that clearly explained their pitch without using jargon. Here's the annoying problem, and here's the cheap solution. Surprisingly, it worked almost too well. Within hours of going live, their website crashed due to the overwhelming flood of orders. In the following year, they generated millions of dollars in revenue. A few years later, they were pulling in hundreds of millions annually, with millions of paying subscribers. Eventually, they outsold Gillette online, something that would have seemed absurd just a few years earlier. By 2016, a major consumer goods conglomerate determined that instead of competing with this small but mighty company, the smartest move was to buy it outright, for a full $1 billion in cash. However, here's an aspect that almost nobody talks about, and it's the real root of everything that happened afterward. Even at the peak of their success, there was a fundamental flaw in the business model. Most people don't actually go through a fresh razor blade every single week. While some do, many subscribers quietly stockpiled blades in a drawer and kept paying each month. Eventually, they would cancel their subscriptions after realizing they had a 2-year supply sitting untouched. This posed a significant problem for a business built entirely around recurring monthly payments. There is a fundamental principle in business that most successful companies adhere to. You can either win by being genuinely different or by being the cheapest option. Attempting to achieve both simultaneously is incredibly challenging because differentiation often requires significant investment, while competing on price generally leads to thin margins that can't sustain that cost. This company tried to pursue both strategies from the beginning. For a time, the excitement generated by a viral video masked the inherent tension in their model, but it couldn't last indefinitely. After the acquisition, the new corporate parent invested heavily in maintaining growth, utilizing podcast advertisements, national television commercials, and even a Super Bowl spot. However, these efforts proved to be much more expensive, and none of them resonated as deeply as that initial $5,000 video. Meanwhile, the established razor companies that this business was designed to disrupt didn't remain idle. Gillette, which had seen its market share decline for years, addressed the issue by lowering its prices. They openly acknowledged on their website that customers had been voicing concerns about the high cost of their blades. Consider the implications for a company whose entire identity was built on being the affordable, honest alternative to pricey razors. When the premium option is no longer expensive, what remains of their value proposition? Although the appealing branding was still intact, the core financial argument that underpinned the entire company effectively vanished overnight. This situation is one of my favorite examples of how a larger, slower-moving competitor can still triumph in a prolonged battle, even after being outmaneuvered initially. If you're interested in seeing how these corporate conflicts unfold behind the scenes, this channel provides insights every week. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Back to the story. With the pricing advantage eroded, the parent company sought alternative ways to make the numbers work, leading to an internal unraveling. They expanded the brand into products like toothpaste, deodorant, and cologne, transforming a once scrappy razor startup into something that looked increasingly like every other shelf brand at a big box store. Eventually, they placed these products on shelves at Walmart, the very type of retail middleman this company was initially created to bypass. The founder quietly sold his remaining stake and stepped down as CEO in 2021, right around the time growth had clearly stagnated. Years later, the parent company publicly admitted that the entire direct-to-consumer model hadn't delivered the expected results. In 2023, they sold off the majority of the company to a private equity firm, retaining only a minority stake. The new owners promised to restore the brand's original creative energy. However, what actually happened resembled straightforward cost-cutting measures. Technology spending was slashed dramatically. The company migrated from its custom website to a generic e-commerce platform. Operations moved out of Los Angeles to reduce costs even further. Crucially, the original razor blades that had built the brand's reputation for quality were quietly replaced with cheaper substitutes. Longtime subscribers noticed the difference immediately and publicly expressed their dissatisfaction, with many canceling their long-term subscriptions the moment the new blades began to irritate their skin. Then came the attempt to recapture the old magic, which backfired spectacularly. The company invited regular customers to help co-create a new ad campaign, hoping to revive the same scrappy, relatable energy from the original viral video. Unfortunately, it fell flat. During this period, ads that appeared to be generated using artificial intelligence started showing up under the brand's name, drawing ridicule online. For a brand that once won awards for producing one of the most human, funny pieces of advertising in years, being mocked for using cheap AI-generated ads felt like a final, poetic insult. Today, the online segment of the business generates around $43 million a year. For context, this is a steep decline from the hundreds of millions it made at its peak, and forecasts suggest only minimal growth ahead. While the products are still available and the company technically still exists, it's not the same business anymore and is certainly not run by the same people who built it. This story teaches us more than just a lesson about razors. A brilliant idea and a viral moment can help a company grow quickly. However, if the underlying business model was flawed, and you're trying to compete on both price and personality simultaneously, that combination will eventually catch up with you, especially once a buyer decides that personality is the first thing to sacrifice for cost savings. So, is this brand completely finished? Not officially, but the version that people fell in love with, the one that made them laugh while also saving them money, is gone, and no e-commerce migration or cost-cutting plan will bring it back. If you were ever a subscriber or remember watching that original video for the first time, share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed learning how a billion-dollar acquisition can quietly dismantle what it was supposed to protect, that's the type of story this channel covers every week. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you in the next one.